What's up guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2. That's a long name. And I'm going to be breaking today's video into 5 categories. And that's going to be specs, performance, durability, pros, and cons. And tell you my thoughts about it, what I like and what I don't like, and give you my opinion on whether or not you should consider something like this. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So let's start off with the basics. First off, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 retails currently at $2,000 and it comes in 2 different colors, either Mystic Black or Mystic Bronze. There's the silver, gold, red, and blue. Now, if you pick the Mystic Black and you don't pick a hinge, it will come with a black hinge. If you pick the Mystic Bronze, it will come with a Mystic Bronze hinge, unless you pick one of these custom hinges. Now, if you pick a custom hinge, the phone will take a little bit longer to get to you. With mine, when I picked the custom hinge, I picked gold. It took about 5 weeks until the phone got to me, just because they have to actually customize it and send it to you. So next, we'll talk about specs. So the phone has a 6.2-inch cover display at a 25:9 aspect ratio. So for example, if I get a video right here, and then this is an ultra wide video, and if I maximize it, it doesn't take too much from the bottom and the top, which makes it look good when you're trying to watch on the outside screen. Now, this outside screen has a resolution of 816 by 2260, which means that it's not going to play 1080p content on it. Whenever I play a video on YouTube on the outside screen, the highest resolution would be 720p. Now, while not as sharp, it still gets the job done, since usually if I'm watching a video on the outside screen, I would have the phone propped up somewhere while I'm working. And also the outside screen is 60 Hz. The phone unfolds from a 6.2-inch cover display to a 7.6-inch inner display, pretty much like an iPad mini. This inner display has a resolution of 2208 by 1768, HDR 120 Hz, so it feels very responsive compared to the 60 Hz display on the outside. Now, as far as the speakers go, the phone has one up top, one on the bottom, and they're full speakers, and honestly this is the best sounding speakers I've ever heard on a phone, mainly because they're 2 full speakers instead of the usual one small one up top and a full one on the bottom. Next, we'll move on to brightness. The brightness of the phone, honestly, it gets very bright. I know you can't really tell from the video. When I'm outside and the sun is directly hitting the phone, I can see perfectly clear, and it's very crisp, very clear. Colors are pretty good on the inner and outside display as well. Samsung has been always great at making displays, so there's no issues whatsoever in that department. This phone comes with 12 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage. While that's great for me, I know some people have complained about the storage because it's set, so a 512 option in the next version would be great. Now, moving on to the camera can shoot up to 8K video, and it's honestly pretty good. I've been debating whether or not to replace this ancient thing with this one. I did some comparisons here and there. As far as the video goes, the phone was pretty sharp and the autofocus was on point. So I might be shooting with this one in the future. So of course there's a couple of pretty cool features built into the phone because of the 2 different screens. So one, you can have your video out here while going through the photos you've taken already. So if I take a photo right here, it will show up right there. So that way you can already see what you have shot. And while the phone is closed, if you open the camera, if you hit the selfie button up top, it will ask you to open the phone, and this way the outer screen becomes your viewfinder while you're actually shooting with the rear camera, so you're getting the best resolution, so you can get the best selfies you could. Another cool feature built into the camera, if you have the camera on, if you're shooting with the rear camera and you have some subjects, you can turn on that feature again to where, so you could see what you're shooting while your subject can see themselves, which I think is pretty cool. Also, I like what they did with the typing experience on the phone. Because the display is pretty big, they split the keyboard in half. and honestly I felt like it was pretty easy to get the hang of pretty quickly. Now let's talk about multitasking a little bit. When the phone was released, Samsung was talking a lot about the idea of having 3 apps open at the same time and multitasking back and forth. Now, while I feel like the idea is pretty cool, I've never found myself using more than 2 apps at the same time. Whenever I'm using 2 apps, I feel like I'm using as much as I could with the display. And I think the reason why is because once I introduced like a third app into the mix, it feels like now everything is pretty cramped. One app is pretty big, which is pretty good, but then everything else is very tiny. Everything gets pretty cramped. Usually one app would be pretty good sized, but then the other 2 are pretty small, and you can't really adjust their size. It doesn't let you. I can just adjust this way, but I can't really adjust right to left. Everything feels just a little bit cramped. Maybe there's some situations where somebody could benefit of this, but as far as my use cases were so far, I haven't really seen a benefit so far. Another use of multitasking that I found, and I didn't really think it would work, but it did, was I basically paired YouTube and a game, and it works pretty well. I can play a game down on the bottom while I'm actually watching a full video up top. It makes me a little bit more productive. Now, before I started using this phone as my daily driver, I was using the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus as my daily driver, and usually I would end my day at about 20 to 30% battery life. Now, with this phone, unfortunately, it's not as good. I would end my day either between 5% to 20%, and sometimes I'd be just getting to bed and it would die on me just as I got to bed. Now, it depends on how you use it. For me, I found that I use the inner screen way more than I use the outside screen. I only use the outside screen to make calls or send a quick text, but for pretty much everything else, if I want to watch a video, play a game, or anything else, I tend to always open the phone and go to the inner screen, which drains more battery, so that's why I end up with less charge at the end of the day. Also, I have the 120 Hz on, so that also contributes. You could turn that off if you want to save a bit more battery. Now, as far as durability goes, I was pretty terrified when I first got this phone because I always felt like I'm walking with $2,000 and I can't break it. I have to take care of it. Now, the more and more I've used it, the more I felt more comfortable with it. The phone is actually pretty sturdy. So one, the hinge is still just as good as when I first got it. It still stands to like pretty much any angle I want. And as far as the inner screen goes, there was a lot of warnings from Samsung, like don't use your nails, don't push too hard, a lot of warnings like that. But honestly, it's been 2 months. I don't have a single scratch on the inner screen. I can put force at the inner screen and I don't feel like it's gonna break. It's pretty sturdy. Now, the phone comes with 2 screen protectors already installed on the phone. One is already on the outside screen and the other one is on the inside screen. I'll get to the inner screen protector in a second. If you got this phone, I would say keep the screen protector on the outside because it's phenomenal. The screen protector on the outside already protected my phone from a pretty bad scratch. I don't know if you could see it up here. The outside screen protector is pretty smooth and it's clear. There's no issue with it whatsoever. It's pretty thin and I love it. I feel like I would definitely recommend you keep the outside screen protector on your phone. But as far as build goes, I feel like it's pretty sturdy. All my fears from before that it was gonna shatter or break very easily are pretty much gone. Now onto the cons. Of course, nothing is perfect, but while I was using the phone for the past 2 months, I ran into a couple of things here and there that weren't ideal. So I hope Samsung would improve them in the next version, and I thought I would tell you about them so that you would have a clear picture if you're thinking about buying a phone like this, so that you would know the good from the bad and not regret the purchase. Number 1, and this is a big one, this phone doesn't have any water protection. Now, when I bought the phone, I already knew about that, but living day to day with it, it makes me worried when I'm outside and it starts raining. I have to cover the phone with any way I can, and if it's raining heavily, putting it in my pocket is not enough. And it's obvious why it's not waterproof or water resistant, just of course because of all the hinges and the openings. So it makes sense. It's just, I hope there's at least some kind of water resistance in the next version, so that way I wouldn't be worried going outside when it's raining or just worried that somebody's going to spill some water on it. Number 2, and this one is not as big of a deal, cases for this phone are pretty awkward and they're kind of strange. Some cases only go on the back and they don't protect the front, and it makes it to where if the phone is open and you put it on the desk, it's going to be pretty wobbly, more than it already is. And some cases cover both the back and the front, but they fit pretty strangely. They would have one side running all the way from above down to here, and it would have like gaps in the middle to where it's not really a good fit. And the phone is already pushing the limits of chunkiness, so having more mass on this would make it pretty annoying when you're trying to put it in your pocket. When I was buying the phone, I had to think about, do I want to get a big case on the phone and be pretty bothered with it the whole time? Or would I rather just get the protection plan and not put a case on the phone? I ended up getting the protection plan instead of putting a case, and I just put a skin on the back to avoid scratches. Issue number 3. I got the black version. I don't know if the other color is going to have the same issue, but the black version had a very, very shiny back. It felt like almost having a mirror. It would always look filthy because of all the fingerprints, and I would have to clean it all the time, and right after I'm done cleaning it, by the time I use my phone for like a phone call or something, I look back at it and it looks disgusting. So I had to get a skin because 1, I don't want to have to keep cleaning it over and over on the back, and 2, it's going to help with scratches like I said earlier. So 4 would be accessories. Not all accessories that I had work with this phone, so you might want to think about that ahead of time. Some of my car mounts that used to work on the S10 Plus don't work on this one anymore. Also something like this, where it's basically that Razer controller. Right now, this phone is, 1, it's pretty thick. You can't get it to fit, so it doesn't work. And if you unfold it to make it a little bit thinner, the phone is actually supposed to go inside of this gap right here, which doesn't work with this phone because even if you unfold it, it's too wide to go in here. And of course, there's accessories like phone controllers that actually work with this one. It's just that this one happens to not fit it. And number 5, the thing that was annoying me the most about this phone is, remember when I told you I would get back to that inner screen protector? That's it. The screen protector on the outside, it's pretty clear, it's plastic, it feels very smooth, there's no issues with it whatsoever. I would have loved the screen protector on the inside to be just like this. However, the screen protector on the inside has a couple of issues. Number 1, it's not smooth. It feels like I'm touching skin. It's kind of thick. It feels weird. And the best way I could think of to show you what I mean is actually just by hearing it. Basically, if I knock on the outside one, listen to the difference in the sound. Sounds kind of like glass. Listen to this one. Do you hear that? It's pretty muted because it feels like there's a give to it. The inner screen protector, it keeps peeling off on the top and the bottom over and over and over, just on its own. I keep sticking it back on, but then just give it a day and then it would come back off. And it's even doing it right now. It's this right here and on the bottom right there. And sometimes it would keep creeping up to about here, and I would have to run my finger over it. It would stick again. It just keeps happening over and over. I don't know what the issue with this is. It's the hinge, I'm pretty sure, but for some reason it just keeps peeling off. And number 4, which is, to me, this is the thing I hate the most about this inside screen protector, it's that it's not clear. And when I say that, I mean that, for example, if I open something like so, and basically I'm zooming in on just a white screen. I don't know how well it will show up on camera, but it feels like there's this kind of film on top of every image, and it shows up the most on like people's skin. You could notice it when a scene is moving, but it feels like the screen protector is like on top of it, so it feels like there's something somewhat transparent not moving while the actual screen is moving. And it also shows up pretty badly on completely white screens. I kept trying to get used to it for the whole 2 months, and it just annoyed me so much that I decided that whenever I make this 2 months video, I'll just peel it off. And it makes me feel like I'm missing out on the good display that's under the screen protector. So I've decided I'll just peel it off and just be done with it and figure out what kind of material it is, since it doesn't feel like any screen protector I've ever had. So here we go. Samsung advises that you take it to a store and have it removed by a professional, but I don't have any stores like that nearby, and I think I'll be fine removing it by myself. I think it might be easiest for me if I remove it from by the camera punch hole or from the corner, but I think I'll go from the corner. I'm just using my nail. You might need like a plastic tool or something, but I think I got it from here. And let's see. And there we go. Like I thought, this is not plastic. I don't know what this is. It feels kind of thick. It's pretty stretchy as well. You can hear that. It feels like plastic that would be like on a binder on the outside, you know? It just doesn't feel like it should be a screen protector. but I guess it gets the job done. I didn't get any scratches on it, so yeah. But you could see how dirty looking this is, and it's like I said, it's kind of hard to see through. So if I'm putting it in front of the lens, you see how this looks. So imagine this being on your screen all the time, but then when you remove it, just way better, you know? So I'm glad to get this off, and hopefully I'll have a better experience with this. Now, what I'm going to keep an eye on is if any damage might happen to the screen or any scratches that might happen easily because I removed this. So if anything like that happens, I will post an update to let you know. And of course, hopefully it doesn't. And if I don't post a video, then everything's going fine. I can already tell this feels smoother. Also, it looks a lot clearer now. So, thank you so much for sticking around if you made it this long. Hope you liked the video, and if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And if you like the video, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Let me know how you like the gold and black. I saw a post that was red and black. That one looked pretty cool. And also keep an eye out for another video for basically tips and tricks. I've been finding things that I could do with the phone that makes my life easier, makes me like the phone a little bit more. Let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything you would want to see in that video. So if you would like to see that, please drop a like down below, and I'll see you then. Subscribe. Peace.